Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Now listen, I'm gonna tell you this right here. What I want you to do, number one, now click the link in the description and get on the wait list for Destiny. If you single, for sure, get on the wait list. But number two, we're gonna keep diving in and we're gonna continuously be addressing the delusion because, as you have heard from the good book, that a double-minded man receives nothing, is unstable in all his ways, and receives nothing from the Lord. And so, what I also want you to think about that is what is happening right now is a lot of brains are being scrambled. You're like eggs. Your brains are being scrambled like eggs in order to take and become a situation where your brain being scrambled to where you think you want something, but what you want you don't need. It also is being scrambled to where you think you are more than you are. You think you higher on the totem pole than you are. And that's what has to be understood. And I want you to think about this and I want you to process this and realize that you got to make sure that when you are hand delivered a potential spouse, that you look well within to that blessing and that you are really thorough in your vetting to make sure that your brain is not scrambled. You gotta make sure that you're not out punting your coverage. Football term, Google it. What does it mean to out punt? P-U-N-T, out, O-U-T, out punt your coverage. Meaning you kicking further than you can afford to cover. You ain't got what it takes to stop the attack of the opponent. And so you out here and you making these moves and they erroneous and illegitimate and frivolous because you think that you deserve this particular thing, but you're not actually a reflection of what you want. Now, shout out to one of my clients. She is not praised by America because she have meat on her bones. And although she went through, the procedures and things of that nature and did the things she needed to do, trying to help herself, and it did make a drastic change. A lot of times with American men will hold you to the standard they met you at. They found you at. So what she did is she went outside of her race. She went to where she celebrated, not tolerated. And now she is engaged to get married. And I might go to her wedding. And she will be getting married most likely in Dubai. And she getting married to a Arabian man who live in Dubai. And that is but it's a lot of black women who are not open to that. Now, Destiny, you won't be matched with them because if you in America, but if you live in Dubai, we plan to spread to Dubai, to London, to South Africa. And so we plan to be all over. And it's one of those things, one of those situations to where it might not be the easiest thing in the world for you to meet who you want to meet. And you got to be open. And I know you got to take in consideration everything. But I talk to a lot of people and they like, you know what? I don't want to be with somebody outside of my race. And what I need you to realize and understand is love is blind. And so if there is a fit, you got to be open to that fit. And you got to kill the delusion, because it may not be a healthy situation for you to be deluded and for you to be in that position to where you will take and cut yourself short and block your blessing because you looking for a certain type of person, but that person is not your fit, what we talked about earlier. So what I want you to do is, I'm trying to close my session right now, but if you have a session on the books, then I want you to ask me about looks compatibility and allow me to give you some kind of celebrity examples so you can apply that to, everyday people, to see what look might you be most compatible with just based off looks. Now, that ain't factoring in character, integrity, and all of those other things. So you got to be mindful of that now. But it's good to know. And I remember, one client, I told her looks compatibility would be like a Reuben Studdard. And she appeared to be upset about that. But there's nothing wrong with Reuben Studdard. He have a little meat on his bones, but there's nothing wrong with him. Like, handsome brother, the brother could sing, seemed like a nice brother, well put together. And that's what I mean by you have to stretch your mind. Like, you can't just get caught up in, oh, I want this particular type, because you might want, God rest his soul, a Chadwick Boseman build. But if Chadwick don't have that Caribbean Islander strength to lift you, then y'all are not compatible. So now it is some lean muscle, slender men who can lift women who are voluptuous or full figured, but that's going to be more of a rarity. So just off the natural look and attraction, it's going to be somebody who is built in a way that they strong enough to lift you. And if he's not strong enough to lift you, most likely y'all are not compatible. And that's what you got to realize and understand. So me and my wife, we're only about 2 to 3 inches apart in height, so I don't have a lot of leverage. But the other day, I grabbed around her thighs, like up under her booty, which of course that's where the thighs is. And I lifted her up to my waist, and she had on all the clothes on, and I started bouncing up and down. Like, I bent down and was bouncing up and down, doing the motion. We fully clothed though. But what it showed her is my husband can manhandle me. So, and when I first met her, and this is what I want you to understand, and y'all have to forgive me for the transparency, but I'm just painting a picture. Ving Rhames, how he was built on Baby Boy. And then he was in there with AJ. AJ was my co-host. I was her co-host on Couples Retreat on MTV2, I think it was, where our show aired. And he picked her up on his shoulders. Her belly facing him. Of course, she appeared to be naked in the film. Picked her up on his shoulders, put her up against the wall. And when I met my wife, while we was dating, I did that. And that's what I mean by manhandle, is that's what a man wants to be able to do. He want to be able to have his way with his woman. So if y'all get married at the church and the church got some stairs, can he hold you in his 2 arms and walk you down them stairs without turning into Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall? If he can't walk you down them stairs, then that means he's not big enough or strong enough for you, and y'all are not compatible. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. there are skinny minis who like them a voluptuous woman. And I don't understand the reason for that. I don't know why that is, but that is a thing. Because most men don't want to feel insecure. Just like most women don't want to feel insecure. So why don't a lot of women want a shorter man? Because she feels like she could beat him up. She feels bigger than him, taller than him. So she feels like she is too much for him, too much to handle, and he is inadequate. And so that's what you have to realize is that plays into looks compatibility. Now, in a perfect world, we would get past looks compatibility. We will get past that and we will just focus on character and genuine chemistry. I'm not talking about sexual chemistry, but genuine chemistry, like meaning you can talk for hours. You can be best friends. Like you really can get along. You don't have to have your clothes off to be able to get along. You don't have to take a naked shower, like Cheyenne told y'all. And so you could sit down and talk for hours, clothes on, getting along, good chemistry, good relationship. That's in a perfect world, that's what we will focus on. So that's really what we trying to focus on and build on Destiny. So get on the mailing list for that, or the wait list. But that's what you want. You want some real chemistry. And to be honest with you, you don't want to lose your life trying to be the exception to the rule, but you want to be the exception to the rule. Like you want to be that person that it works out for you and y'all not necessarily compatible by the eye, but it works. Like you want that. That's what you want. And so I want you to realize and understand that and just get to a place to where you realize that and you say, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. Now, right now, our minimum compatibility on Destiny is 30%. And to be honest with you, I might drop it to 20% because of the 80-20 rule that somebody made. But also just because a lot of times there's a quote that says our differences, our strength is in our differences, not our similarities. So maybe being complete opposites could end up being stronger. And that's some data that we'll receive when we get the feedback. Like, did your dating go better with someone you were less compatible with than it did with someone who you were highly compatible with? And that's a good question to ask and a good answer to receive, because that, like, for example, my wife and I, we've been married for 19 years and we get along great in our conversation and chill and all of that, but we are opposite. Like I'm the type, like I'm chill, I'm cool. I can take and go up here to the little restaurant that looked like a little liquor store. I went to it the other day, sat down, had a smash burger, had some wings, and my wife went with me. I wanted to go back. She was like, man, I ain't going back to that little hole in the wall. Like, I ain't going back to that place. Like, it's a liquor store. And she wasn't with it. But I'm like that. But it's like, that don't end the relationship. Now, there is a man out there, there's men out there who don't want to go to no liquor store looking restaurant. And then there's women out there who would be like, yeah, I'm down. Like, shoot, the food good, I don't care. If it's a hole in the wall, like, I'm straight. But guess what? So you could be compatible in that area, but then not be compatible in the foundational areas. The areas when it comes to raising kids, when it comes to managing money, when it comes to faith, when it comes to politics. So that's what you got to realize. So your similarities need to be in your foundational beliefs. And then your differences can be in everything else. Like one of you could like milk, the other one could be intolerant. One of you could like roller coasters, the other one could like slow walks in the park. One of you could like jazz, the other one like trap music. Like all of those things could be different because what you do is you get to expose one another to those things. You get to say, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And you get to expose one another to those things. You get to experience those things. And so that's what you got to realize and understand. That right there plays a part. And you got to be able to see, okay, what really matters. And I'm telling y'all that this is the trick of the enemy. And this is what has so many people single. So yes, we're getting ready, Austin and I, we getting ready to bridge the gap for you. But you can't take the same mentality and the same habits that may have kept you single out here in the real world all these years. You can't take that same belief system into this here app and be just as closed-fisted so that you can't receive, just as closed-minded so that you can't learn and grow as you've always been. So it's going to take some changing of your limiting personality traits, and it's going to take some growth and some stretching on your behalf. And that's not going to be easy, but you are capable of doing it. And so really want you to think about that and focus on that and do what you can to do that. So, hey, this Tony Gaskins, we're going to be dropping these here nuggets. And you're going to hear, for those of y'all who watch every video, you're going to hear some of the same stuff over and over, certain parts of it, because you need to hear it. And it's going to help you. It's going to bless you. And then others of you, you're going to be hearing something new. But the reason being also is because different people see each video. So I have to be open-minded about that. You know what? I might need to sit still in here and let some of this here sweat calm down before I go in this here freezing AC. I got sick. And so that's what I want you to think about and be mindful of. Because that's what it's going to take. Is a little open-mindedness and thinking. And so y'all, my gym is upstairs outside. So I know sometimes y'all be wondering where I be going, but this my little outside area. It's a mess right now. Got to get it cleaned up. And my little pool area out here. And a little storm and stuff came and be knocking out my screen. As soon as I put one in there, I lose another one. So buy a house, they say, listen, you don't want to do too much, because, boy, it be costing you every step of the way. But hey, this Tony Gaskins. God bless you. Finna get on off this phone. Spend a good little quality time with my queen. God bless you, and we'll talk soon.